Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Rare Agent Podcast, where we peel back the curtain on all things real estate, focusing on collaboration over competition. Today, we have with us the dynamic duo known as Adelson Weiss by Mark Adelson and Brandon Weiss, also members of the Rare Real Estate family. We are so happy to have you here and can't wait to get into it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you
Welcome.
for having us.
Thank you
for having us.
for coming. So excited.
It's funny, we know you guys, but we don't really know your story. So
No.
I'm excited to get into it today.
Yeah.
Usually
exactly.
the music's pretty loud when we're all hanging out socially. So
Yeah, exactly. This
Yeah.
is kind of nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Yeah, for sure. No drinks, no
The rare
pizza.
summer social party that just happened.
Yeah.
I was on my I was in bed the
We
next
were not
day.
okay.
We were not okay the next day.
No, we're
Yeah.
I wasn't up. I wasn't there. So
My
Voice
voice
away.
was kind of coarse the next
Which means
day.
I had to have double the fun. So
There you go.
holding it
yeah,
down
yeah,
for the
yeah,
team.
exactly. Yeah.
We'd love to know how you guys got into the business, found each other. What was your journey like?
Sure, go for it.
Yeah, so I studied University of San Diego. I studied finance and real estate. My parents were in real estate. I grew up with the concept of real estate, the idea of real estate, owning real estate, invest in real estate. It was pretty much rammed down my throat from day one that real estate is one of the best investments and journeys that you can be a part of. And I fully believe in it. I think it's a great thing. I invest myself. I'm always watching for opportunities. And I think that's where Mark and I hit it off, was we had the same mindset and came from that similar background. Originally, we started kind of as friends. We were both surfers. We both kind of had the same interests, and we felt the same way about open houses. We love open houses. We think it's a great way to generate business, to highlight a property, to really make a splash and make it into an event. The one thing we found was that with one realtor there, you're not getting the same coverage. You're not as dynamic. And we decided, hey, let's do open houses together with the two of us. Anything that comes of it, we split it and we work together on it. And it was symbiotic, because if I didn't jive with somebody, I'd pass off to Mark, and then Mark would jive with them. And then if somebody came in and we were slammed, one of us could check them in, and the other one's listening and can hop on MLS and get listings while I'm talking and engaging and hearing what they're looking for, what their hang up is, kind of really engage with them. And by the time they walk out of the house, many times we'd have already forwarded them, 10 other open houses they go check out, or we set a time to go take them out elsewhere. So it was really nice that we had that connection personally, but also we enjoyed the idea of working with somebody.
Yeah, it's a lonely business. It's a very lonely business. And we found with the open housing concept was you had 5 minutes, to interview with that person. And half the time they didn't want to talk to you. They just wanted to look around the house and check it out. And with the two of us, there was 2 chances to make that connection, which is really nice. And then again, as you've seen, open houses get slammed.
Mhm.
So, but for me, I wasn't in real estate to begin with. I wanted to be an architect, and my guidance counselor talked me out of it.
Oh, wow.
I swear.
Stop.
Yeah, I swear. And so I went into commerce. So I got a degree in commerce, and then bought my first place in 2004. And it was like a whitewash, white carpets, white walls, white everything. And the first thing I did is threw a red wine party. And I would go around and knock people's red wine out of their hands onto the white carpet, because it was my incentive to fix up the condo.
That's the best thing ever. I love that.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
And then I spent the next 2 weeks putting in new flooring and painting and everything like that. And I just really loved it. I really loved that construction side. And I decided, 4 years later, I was going to go in and apply to George Brown for construction engineering, and did a course there, and then went into construction, and then found that I would like to, more sell houses than build them, and use that knowledge to help with my buyers and sellers. And so I guess 2011, I got licensed.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Natural
Yeah.
transition.
It was, yeah.
Mhm.
And I still love the whole, everything from the building to the selling and buying and investing and everything. I still love all of it. So
I find that I've had to learn a lot about the construction of homes, because those questions come up
all the
more
time.
often than, what do you think this is going to sell for?
Yeah.
What is this? What does this look like? Does this look old to you? What's underneath this carpet? You really have to get a knowledge about it. So
Yeah. Well,
So
I
then-
taught that part of the course. My teacher just let me teach our like real estate like members that course.
Oh, it's,
Yeah.
you're all amazing.
That was pretty cool.
That's the neat thing too is I'm a student of his as well.
That's
And
awesome.
that was the
Yeah.
interesting part is we have so much fun open houses, like in the office, jokes, laughs, all the fun. But when you actually look at how we got together was I came from a strong sales and marketing background.
Mhm.
And so I was able to give that to Mark. And then Mark had this funny stories we'll tell those.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But the construction side for me, I had a very light base knowledge and he really came through. And, you know, now we start looking at opportunities in homes that other realtors aren't going to see,
Yeah.
or we see hidden things that another realtor might miss that may be a liability.
Mhm.
So I remember one time we went through a home for one of my clients. I had Mark come to take a look at it and he realized, wait, there's a section behind this wall in the basement that is actually on structure. All you have to do is dig that out and you have a whole bunch of extra square footage, put a door. And it turned out in buying that home, we could offer a little bit more and say we offered $10,000 more, but the value that no other realtor knew was $100,000.
Huge.
So we just
Huge.
netted our client $90,000 because we had that wherewithal and that knowledge.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it is really a benefit that we get the best of both yin and yang worlds here in a way.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, so we love the story, but we know that you came from a team. How did you guys find one another? So you said you were surfers. Like, what were you doing? Like surfing off the coast of San Diego? Like,
I
and then you
wish.
found like Mark
Would've been nice.
or
Saved each other's lives.
how did
No,
that-
I was,
Baywatch styles.
I joined Harvey Callis 2013 and Brandon was there. And then like Brandon had said, you know, I don't love doing open houses by myself. I just feel like there's a lot of liability, a lot of pressure on yourself by doing that. So we were just chatting in the office and, you know, where are you from? Because he was new in the office or whatever. And I hadn't seen him before. And he's like, San Diego. And we surf and we just chit chat. And then I had an opportunity to do an open house about a week and a half later. And so I just called him up and said, you want to do an open house together? And Saturday went okay. Like it was okay. And Sunday we picked up a client. And that client became our first like joint client, which was great. And it just seemed to be really cohesive and it worked out quite nicely. So we put together a partnership agreement, which was like a 2-year trial run. It took me 6 years to get married. So 2-year trial run is pretty good. And yeah, I like to be like solid and, you know exactly what I'm getting into. And we did a 2-year trial run, which is great. And at the end of it, we just decided, you know my clients, I know your clients. Let's just go 50-50 on everything. And that's what we did. And we just started building a business from that.
Yeah, and in the 2 years, enough business came from open houses, cold calls, new clients, that we just realized a lot of what we were doing was together anyways. So it was just great. Let's ramp the marketing. Let's get everything rolling. Go from there.
Yeah. Started branding, started getting a logo, all that kind of stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I have to remember to hold up my mic on this one.
So,
There you go.
what are some of the valuable lessons you would say you learned once you guys started branching out together?
I mean, you can really split your time well. I mean, there is no vacation. We all know that. Everyone tells us, oh, you've got flexible hours. It's bullshit. We don't have flexible hours. It's like when everyone's at work, we're doing paperwork. When everyone's at home, we're doing showings.
Mm-hmm.
So to try go on a vacation and leave your book of work with people at your office, it never, ever worked on me. Every time I came back from vacation, this guy had not called this person. This person had went and bought with another agent because this person never called him. It was a disaster. Like I lost clients. I lost money and then paid money to go on vacation. So it wasn't working. And I tried partnerships with other people and it just didn't work. It wasn't cohesive. There was always like, what's in it for me? There was a lot of like greediness and it just wasn't what I wanted. So, when you find someone that works and it makes sense and you've got, we don't have the same personalities, but we have the same work ethic and we have the same goals. And I think that's what really, really makes us work.
Love that.
Yeah. And it's nice when your business is together and in a way it's your baby, but it's one you built together. So you kind of trust it passing back and forth. And there are things that each of us are naturally better at. So we kind of delegate a little bit. But again, going on vacation, it's nice knowing everything's taken care of. You can actually shut your phone and put a voice message on and everything's taken care of. And like to Mark's point of the same goals and thinking alike, we've never had an argument where it's like, no, we're doing it this way. No, this is my percentage. No, this is that. Like we both have the same goal and it's to bring into the pot and make our team better. So it's never been a question for either of
Do you
us.
two feel like you're looking in a mirror?
I mean,
The synchronicities. I mean, we could sit there and keep talking about it.
Yeah,
but
because I feel
absolutely.
when I speak to them about their partnership, it feels similar. Like, but you need to find that your lobster in the real estate world.
I will say one
So
key
true.
difference
Yeah.
is you guys came
Yeah.
with different strengths. We definitely do have different strengths, but our personalities are very similar.
we
Like
can finish each other's sentences. Like
if we
fairly
swap out
frequently.
clients, I'll be like, okay, so Jen's gonna take care of you. She's basically me, so like it'll all be the same. Don't worry.
Love
But
it.
it's perfect because then it just feels like your clients, you'll never get like, oh, I'd rather just work with Jen, or
I mean, we
clients
get
feel-
that. I'm
Okay,
sure
you
there's
do.
clients that are like, oh, thank goodness you're home, Brandon. You know what I mean? Like, Mark's monotonous and kind of boring. I don't know. But I mean, like, that's just I'm sure that's the way it is. But overall, they know us.
Yeah.
And they know our intention, and they know, we're going to give them the best we can. And if there is an issue, we're both there to fix it. So,
Yeah.
I find
Absolutely.
it interesting. I've heard so many times that partnerships are the least common way to transact in real estate. It's either mega teams or individuals. So I love your first partnership we've ever really connected with, to be honest.
yeah. I mean,
We're not alone.
No, you're not. I mean, we have some people that work for us that, that are around and they do quite a bit of stuff. Again, we're not a traditional like group at all. We don't charge them money or anything like that on top of stuff. If we give them a lead, it's a straight referral fee of 70-30 or 70-25, 75-25. There's no like, well, you go and do all the work and I'm going to collect the pay.
Mhm.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You guys, similar to us though, before your team of your own came from a big team, what was that experience like for you guys? Did you find that's where you got a lot of your knowledge base?
I'm going to say that I learned more about myself
Mm.
in that 1 year that we joined a bigger team than I did about real estate.
I think it taught us to
Interesting.
trust our own instincts, that we have the right nose for it. We're going in the right direction. We're doing the right things by the client. And that's really at the end of the day what matters. It showed us that our values that we had before joining that team are so much stronger and of so much more value. And it just means we get to enjoy our work-life balance as well. Like it's work, as much as you're spending the hours, it feels much more natural is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
It was hard. It was hard because
Yeah.
you gave up your individual self, and which I would say is our partnership. We came as an individual self.
Yeah.
But I found what the hardest part was is that you didn't get to work the way you wanted to work. Large teams are usually volume based,
Mhm.
right? So it's like get the sign up, get the buyer, the prospective buyer, and sell the house and move on. Where we're more of a handhold situation where like we like to be there when the stager's there, we like to be there when the photographer's there, we like to come in and make sure things are getting done. And that there's just no time on a bigger team like that. It was
It's
just
not
like
it's so volume based.
right.
Yeah.
You're needed here. And I'm like, well, I still need 20 minutes here. Well, no. You're needed here. Then you need it here. And it was just like, we lost clients. We had to hit the reset button when we left and like pretty much prove to our clients again that we are who we were and not who we are today. So
So you
Cool.
so you guys were already working together and you decided to join a team at that point?
yeah, we were on a
Okay.
team for like 12, 13 months and that was it. And
That's
we're
it.
like, no, this is
No.
not for us.
It's not part of it.
I think that's
Didn't
not
align with
something
you.
though, because you were established. I feel like our industry talks a lot lately about joining teams as a way to grow and to learn. And obviously we know at Rare, we're trying to do teams differently, which is
Right.
awesome. But the traditional team, if you already know your identity in the business, can be hard to integrate with.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, and we've talked about this before, but the traditional team, the second you butt a superstar, they leave.
Mm.
They're not hanging around to make 50%,
Mhm.
right? So they're gone. So the traditional team, you're basically with people who are either complacent with what they're doing, are up and comers, or they're just maybe at the tail end of their career and they're just happy to get leads and make some money and do what they do.
Be a part of something, not have to
Right.
think about it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, one of the things we struggled with, and the reason we were brought into this team, was because the head of it felt you guys are relationship based. You always do right by your clients. You foster that relationship so they call you anytime, and you earn future business and you earn referrals. And for this realtor, he was not referral based. He didn't get referrals. So many one and dones. And I remember specifically there was one time, and this is to Mark's testament, where he was told, get the deal done, sign it, and accept it. And Mark negotiated an extra $75,000 for the client. That's a lot of money. That's significant. So to have that quality over quantity and just clear the board approach, it's not the way to do it. It's you're representing a client. You're acting in their best interest. And if you're not doing that, that didn't jive with either of us.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I mean, you give credit where credit's due. He's a listing machine. You know what I mean? Like he is actually, I take that back. He's a lead generation machine. Like he just generated a ton of leads, and it's a lot of perception out there, which is great. It just didn't jive with what we were trying to achieve.
Totally fair.
different strokes for different folks.
I think part of our motto is relationships over transactions always. And what you are essentially speaking about is all of that. So this is definitely a vibe.
We vibe.
Did you read our
slogan?
Our slogan.
No, is that our
Built on trust.
Yeah.
I just read it. They brought in a flyer. I was like, sold.
Built on
Built
trust,
on
not
trust,
transactions.
I love
There
it.
you go.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
I love
wonderful.
It's been like, I think that's been ours for about 5-6 years.
Six,
I don't even know
yeah.
how long we've been together.
Yeah.
No idea. But I will
Must
tell you a
try.
funny story. My wedding anniversary and our partnership anniversary on the same day, so
No.
I remember it.
They'll
Oh my
always
God.
remember.
I swear to
Oh
God.
my God.
I love that.
Do you
August
get each
1st.
other presents?
Meant to be.
No.
No.
Do me a deal and then that's
a
the
deal and
present.
then, okay.
Exactly.
We have a little date every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll win this one. I think I'll go the opposite.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
I'm
Yeah.
having a little bit of FOMO that I don't have a partner, but I still haven't.
You have us, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
I don't have a lobster yet, so I'm working on it.
Fair enough.
So
Take your time.
We all know this market has been weird. Sometimes we don't even know what the heck is going on. What could you guys give as? How are you guys getting through it? What are you guys doing on your day to day? How have you changed your your marketing or anything to kind of ride the wave of this different market?
I mean, we've always been really trying to keep in touch with our clients.
Yeah.
That's been number one. We do, I would say every 3 months, we keep in touch with them. We drop something off of their house or their condo.
Mhm.
We give them a call, that kind of stuff. What we've changed is that we're now also starting to farm a specific area.
Okay.
So once a month, we'll send out a postcard. I'd like to say we door knock, but we're not door knocking. I think.
Is it something that you have done in the past? Door knocking? Is it something
Yeah.
you guys have? Okay.
I've ended up in a person's house for 3 hours talking about their diverticulitis. Like it's not something I'm interested in. I swear, I'm not
I've
interested
never
in
door
doing
knocked,
that.
so I
The
feel
only
like
per-
I would end up having cookies on the couch and
No,
oh,
those
yeah.
people don't answer the door. It's only the ones who are lonely and they're like, come in. You're like, oh no, what have I done?
This is why I have a sacrificial lamb business partner.
Yeah.
He's
So
so
when
good at
you
those,
have
and he gets it.
someone will come save you eventually. You're not stuck forever.
Or
And I
they'll
give
be like,
like,
I
"We
gotta
gotta
go.
go."
See you later. So
Fair enough. Fair
Take
Yeah,
your
enough.
one thing
time.
that
Take
did
your time.
happen to me, it almost ended up in a transaction, but Kelly thought that I essentially was kidnapped by some old woman and she couldn't
no.
find me on the street.
As a
We have
realtor-
door knocked, and safety is a concern.
Jen has
legitimately.
stranger
Absolutely.
danger. So I was like, there's
Yeah.
no
We
chance
keep
Jen's
bringing this
ever
up.
going in a stranger's house. I lost her. I'm calling her husband. I'm like, do we call the
Wow.
police? Is she taken?
It was a lovely little old lady who wanted me to come in and look at her home and be like, yes, we
sure.
are it actually worked. We are considering selling, so on and so forth. And so but thank you, because I know that had something have happened and I was locked in a basement somewhere, Kelly was going to save me.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I
You need
think
a
it
texting
does work.
system, going in.
So here's how-
Exactly.
So
Or
we'll
find
swap
location
next
on
time.
the phone.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We'll just
There you
rotate.
go. So you guys said you've been farming, and this is something we've talked about many times. I know
Right.
most realtors consider it, but it is a time and a numbers game and all that good stuff. How long have you been going through this process, and how have you found it so far?
It's been since February.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
6
it hasn't
months.
been long. We've had a couple calls. It's a little different though. I didn't farm in the past because it wasn't organic. Like I'm not going to farm an area I don't live. It just doesn't make sense to me, right?
Okay.
So we've been in this area for 10 years. My kids go to the local school. I walk with them every day. I think majority of the people who go to that school, because I volunteer there a lot, know me, but they might not know what I do. Because it's not like I walk in like, hey, I'm Mark, I'm a real estate agent. Hey, I'm Mark, I'm a real estate agent. You know?
We'll get you a t-shirt.
Exactly.
I'm a realtor.
I'm more like, hey, that's London and Jasper's dad, right? So now with the postcards
Cute names.
going
I was
I
out,
just
have to
love
call
those.
that out.
Oh, yeah?
London and Jasper. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that.
Oh,
Beautiful.
thank you.
Go on.
I got one and my wife chose the other, so it's perfect.
Which one did you pick?
I chose London.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
So it just was like now they can see the postcard and be like, oh, that's Mark, he's a real estate agent, and it's worked.
I love
Got a
that.
few phone calls. So,
That's awesome.
yeah. Now we
Next
just
year, I
need a
would do the
sign.
fair, the kids fair, the like
Exactly.
sponsor, and just kind
I
of
do the volunteering at the school, like the pizza lunch.
oh, so cute.
Yeah, it's
I
fun.
used a pizza lunch.
It's the best.
I totally
Do they
pizza
hook
lunch.
you up with a slice?
They hook us up with a whole pizza, and I get to
I didn't
insult
get that.
kids, and they love it. They love it. I don't know why. They think I'm funny. Like they line up. I've got a huge lineup. I'm like, scratchy paws. Here's your slices. I don't think that says 3 slices. You're only getting 2. Or I just mess with them
You're
all day
funny.
long.
They like it.
They
Kids-
do.
Yeah, because kids are so cute.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
okay. Because I know our time here is limited with Brandon and Mark. We might keep you on just a
I
tad
can keep
longer.
going,
Okay,
yeah.
but I do want to know, because you did discuss investing as something that's been embedded in you since a young child, with your family being in real estate. What sort of investments? I had a little conversation with Mark, and
Right.
we're going to get into it, but I want to know specifically from you, what sort of investments did your family get into? What are you into now? Share a little bit.
Yeah, so on my parents' side, they did some build and flips, kind of also buy, live in, fix up, and then move on to the next. So constantly kind of that upgrade, short term, things like that. Also looking at some properties where main house, couple little cottages, live in one, rent them out, Airbnb, just multiple streams of income. For myself, looking at condos, getting tenants in there, owning a property with a basement apartment, now looking to kind of branch out maybe into a multiplex, some sort of vacation rental as well. So there's a lot of different avenues you can go. And that's the nice thing is seeing the different goals behind it. You can really understand what somebody's trying to get at and be creative and use different avenues. And until you go down that path of doing it for yourself, doing it for clients, sometimes there are little nuances and intricacies that, you find hidden in spots where you could find an extra $100,000 chunk, which could be an extra basement rental. And right now there's a lot of changes going on in the city with laneway suites, garden suites. So keeping up on that. And that's one of the things we're talking with. We have a meeting with somebody and we're looking to develop that a little bit more. It's on behalf of our clients who are asking us, how do we capitalize on this? How do we monetize this? Hey, I already have this property. When we go door knocking, somebody says, hey, I want a corner lot that has that rear garage already there. And you turn it into a 5-plex in a way. So it's knowing what to go after and how to go after it is really what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any, so off of that, in this economic climate, multiplex, and considering Bill 23 just passed, and there will be 4 units allowed in a home plus
In
an
the
ADU,
main home, yeah.
right? What particular neighborhoods in the city are you looking at with your investors, and why?
So I find that we're looking a lot for myself, Junction, High Park, a little bit into the East End. There are certain areas you're kind of avoiding because they have curb cut regulations. There's issues with garages, things like that restrict it a little bit. But those are the big ones for me. Junction and Annex, that West End is really hot.
I'm into the Junction right now. And price points there versus near Trinity.
See, I like
Whole different
Trinity.
world. Okay,
Yeah.
so you've got the
Yeah.
money in your pocket.
I've got on my MLS, I've got price change. Any house in Toronto that gets a price change, it alerts me. Yeah. I want high density, like for the investments. I don't love north of St. Clair. I find you start to get into family areas and they do not want 5-plexes in their, on their street. Corner lots are great. You can divide a corner lot up quite nicely for investment purposes. Everyone gets a chunk of the backyard, front yard, side yard. So
Yeah. A neat off-market project I was involved in. It was right on, so you have Main Street, and then halfway down, you have the entrance to the laneway. Nice wide laneway. It goes back to your rear laneway. Deep lots, 140 foot deep. And what we found was being right on that laneway, rather than have main house and then garage at the back with a backyard in between. What you did was you did a reduced footprint backyard and you would do parking in the middle. So then you have at the back, it's actually a triplex. They actually got approved for a basement. And then at the front, same thing. They did a triplex. So
hold
awesome.
on, stop right there. That is
Yeah.
more than the 5 units that I know about. So you did you know of a triplex happening on a lane suite.
yes.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, it was
Very
an
cool.
interesting setup. There were, because it was such a deep lot, you didn't have issues with your GFAs. There was definitely committee of adjustments. There was a lot of stuff to deal with there, but everything was essentially already in place for it. So it wasn't that the rules were being broken majorly because you had such a deep lot. Your GFA was okay, and then you just followed all the fire codes.
Yeah.
Originally, what they did was they didn't turn it into long-term rentals. They did it as all Airbnb month to month.
Mm.
So the one gripe I had with it was that they didn't really do great living spaces. They maximized number of bedrooms in each unit, and they're still making hand over fist Airbnbs, people short term. People didn't want to lock it in the city. Now that people are coming in and out again, you're seeing that again. But from your standard 12-month rental, having continuity with tenants, you could have done it there, but the living space wasn't capitalized. I would have rather have seen them do a 2-bedroom with a nice living space
Mhm.
rather than the one long hallway with a tiny kitchen, tiny living space, and 3 bedrooms.
Mhm.
But their goal was to have 3 bedrooms to rent out
Mhm.
and get per month about $2,000 per bedroom.
Sorry,
Mhm.
3 bedrooms in each unit?
3 bedrooms in each unit.
Wow. Okay.
So number of doors was phenomenal on it.
It's-
I want to dig into the financials on this
How
though.
big was this lot? Did
So
you-
it was like a 25 by 140.
oh, it's
Okay.
not that.
What was the
it's not
initial
that
purchase
big.
price? Do you remember?
They paid like 1.4 for it.
Okay.
They bought the property probably about 5 years ago.
Okay.
They developed it over the first 2 years and the last few years, and ultimately sold it. They ended up cashing out and selling it because they had the cash flow numbers to support selling it in the mid 3s.
Wow.
What
So
neighborhood
they-
was this in? I need to know.
Yeah, this is Bloor West.
Mhm.
Ah.
Yeah, that Hyde Park South Junction ish.
Okay.
So yeah,
Very
that
cool.
Annette Runnymede, I find a very interesting little
And
pocket.
they were doing midterm rentals, not short term, because of the Airbnb regulations in the city, correct?
Exactly.
Okay. And they still found that to be very lucrative.
Yeah,
How
and
2,000 a
they
door per month, you said?
exactly because
2,000
they were
a door
looking
Bedroom.
they were looking about
That's
$100 a
$9
night.
I'm
60
still
to
pausing
70.
here. So you did 2,000 per bedroom.
Per
So
month.
they were renting them out by rooms, not by units.
Yeah.
Wow. Who are these people?
Yeah, so
I need
it's
to have them on the podcast.
Ton
Where's
of
the bomb?
turnover.
Bomb.
Yeah. Very interesting business model, but they actually sold out before the new regulations came in.
Oh, okay.
So I believe at this point I've seen there's been some changes now that everything's being rented more as a whole unit because they don't want to do the Airbnb aspect. So they've slowly converted. They still do some private rentals where it's, hey, I need a place, but they're not advertising on Airbnb because of the restrictions on
Right.
it.
Of course.
So it has changed with that regulation,
Mhm.
Fair enough.
but cash cow. And it's
I
a
love
great
that.
property.
That's
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Noted for next time.
Before Brandon goes, we need to know your best real estate story. Crazy, funny, wild. What is it?
Oh my God. Probably the funniest or just like the most out there. I had one where I went in at like, it's probably 1 p.m. Might have even been noon. It was somewhere that midday range. And I knock on the door and this little like Sean Paul lookalike, like Dre, he basically was on Ziza Sari mixed with Sean Paul. And he's in a silk robe. And there's this girl sitting on this couch, like just large girl, like Caribbean, large, in charge. And they're sitting there. There are drugs all over the table.
Mhm.
There is porn on the TV. And they're like, yeah, come in and party with us. And they're like, we didn't know there was a showing. And
Casual.
casual. And I'm just like, I don't know if I can step into this. Like, what is going on here? So, anyways, the guy's like, it's my birthday. I'm just like going for it. And anyways, and this was at the time I was looking to buy a condo for myself. So luckily I didn't have a
I
client
was
there.
going to say, did your client just faint or?
Oh my God. I've had, no client, luckily, just me. And it was just like, what is going on here? And the funny part of it is I didn't know how to take this place because it was priced, probably it was like a $500,000 would have been a $500,000 sale, but it's priced at $399 and it is sitting on the market, not
and you
selling.
don't know why?
And I don't know why. And I'm wondering, I'm like, I got to go see this place because this could be the steal of the century. And I get there and I'm just like, so this is why it's not selling, because tenant doesn't know people are showing up. Like they couldn't take pictures of the unit. It was a mess. They're in their drugs apart. And just, so it made me see the other side of like, be careful who you get as tenants, but also how much it can actually affect a sale.
For sure.
Oh my goodness.
So it was interesting.
You didn't even party for a minute?
Not even a minute. I was like, you know what? I got to go to my next showing. And then I go to the next showing and I don't know why. It was just like a day of these. And it was the woman that lived there was a swim coach at one of the universities and basically comes to the door like fresh out of the shower, no bra, and is just like, oh, hey. And
boy.
I'm just like, yeah, totally didn't come on a showing for like this. Like,
So many realtors have the naked
people.
people stories.
naked people's stories just show up and then like just hitting on me. And I'm just like,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
time to
I
go.
still have more places to see. So
I
yeah,
have
it
no
was-
naked people
No
stories.
naked people.
I've had
Oh.
tenants call me crying because they were in the washroom when someone walked in.
Okay.
Wow.
But yeah, no naked stories. I do knock though. I'm a knocker,
Yeah.
even if it says
Always.
vacant on the showing listing.
I've had a
Still
lot
not.
of like random sleeping people.
A lot of sleeping
lot of
people.
I've had
sleeping
sleeping
people.
people.
Walk in and like
Yeah.
people are just like sleeping. You're like,
Sleeping.
oh, I'm gonna turn that light off now. Okay.
Correct. I've had under the covers, like
Yeah.
fully under the covers sleeping, but like nothing weird like that. I had
Okay.
other weird stories, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Brandon.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're
My
amazing.
pleasure. Yeah.
Love this investment strategy talk. I love the fun stories. That was one.
Yeah, we're going to
definitely.
let you go and then we're going to get into it with Mark here.
Cool.
So,
Thanks
Thank
so
you so much
much.
for having me. I'm sure I'll hold it down for the Adelson Weiss team. So.
For sure.
love
For
it.
sure.
love it.
try.
High five
I'll
all the
try.
way.
I'll try.
I love that.
All right.
Okay, so here we have Bye Brandon. Lovely to have you. Mark, thank you for sticking around.
Yeah, no problem.
So we wanted to chat a little bit more about your investing story in how you
Right.
started investing in real estate, and then also expand on Brandon's thoughts about multifamily, because we know that you've got a lot of information when it comes to REITs, real estate
Right.
investment trusts. So we want to know all about that.
For sure.
That's a loaded question, but go for it.
Yeah, where do you want to start? I guess we'll start
I'd
with,
love to start on REITs
REITs?
because it's
Okay.
something that I'm not very well educated on, and I would love to learn a
Fair
little bit
enough.
more on it.
So I've been told I'm the world's worst salesman by clients because I am. I don't sell real estate. I help you acquire real estate or whatever, right? For me, I'll talk any client out of a bad deal. I'll talk any client out of selling because I don't believe you should ever sell real estate unless you have to.
Mm.
So for me, a lot of the time when I don't have enough money for a down payment, for another investment or anything like that, I will go and put my money in a REIT. And the reason I do that is because the REITs are usually at par of what you'd be making if you had invested on your own, or better, because they have that scale, the volume scale, right? Where they can go buy thousands of units at a discounted price, and then their return on investment's a lot higher.
Mhm.
So about 6 years ago, I was introduced to a REIT, and I needed to put money into my RESP. And so I put it into this REIT. And after the first year, it went up 25%. And my investor, my investor was like, do you want to take out your dividend? Do you want to keep it in? And I just said, let's just run with it. And the second year, I think it was at like 18%. And then it was like 12, and then COVID hit. Even in COVID, we were a positive percentage numbers. So I just kept investing, and I've been doing it ever since. So
Can you explain a little bit about, say, use that one for example? What were you purchasing? How much was it? What was your share? What did the numbers look like?
So I basically bought stock is what
Okay.
it is. Yeah. So I took, let's call it $50,000
Mhm.
of my money that I wanted to put into RESPs. And I put about, 30 of it into this REIT. The person takes your money basically, and he looks to acquire more properties. Some of these properties are in Seattle. Some of them are in Toronto. Some of them are in like Windsor. He is Toronto based. But he does now, because he's such a big company, they buy everywhere. Yeah, it's pretty simple. I mean, it's an easy way to watch your money grow without you having to, immerse yourself in real estate and become a landlord.
I was just going to say,
So-
we didn't really break down what exactly a REIT is. So for
Right.
people who don't know, to your point, it is like a stock in the sense that you are
Correct.
literally just giving the money to this entity that is growing. So someone is going to go out with all of these collected funds and purchase the things we on our own wouldn't be able to
Right.
purchase
We don't have the power to do it.
and manage. And it's passive for you, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, it's very passive. And I've enjoyed it. Like I'm probably about 25% of my real estate portfolio now is in REITs.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because I have an Airbnb that I constantly am working on. I have a condo downtown that, is a long-term rental. The condo downtown long-term rental is great, but you're making a couple $100 a month. As you probably heard last week, they came out stats that said 50% of condo landlords are losing money every month, right?
100%.
Yeah. So, make a couple $100. It's not sending me, away on trips or anything, but it's a good asset to hold on to. Whereas it's not very passive income, Airbnb.
Mhm.
It's very hands-on. And that's
Mhm.
something I don't think a lot of people realize when they got involved in it.
For sure.
So this REIT is kind of like a nice passive income.
So just before we jump into ask you questions about the Airbnb,
Yeah.
in the climate of, Toronto multifamily and investors looking at turning single families into multi-unit
Right.
dwellings, how are you and your investors, because I know that you have, a group of people that are looking for this type of real estate.
Correct.
How do you guys, what's the future of Toronto and making that financially feasible for people? Because I know that there is a lot of money that goes into this,
Right.
and not everybody can afford to purchase a $1.5 million property and then add another $500,000 or $600,000 into it.
Right.
So what are you sharing with your investors?
So what we try to do is, I don't care. We try to get banks of money like in certain amounts. So let's say we're only allowing minimum $100,000 because you can't have 250 investors at, $10,000 each. It's impossible to like keep track of. So we'll try to keep it in larger increments, but within that increment, feel free to collect money on your own from people and put it together.
You're ultimately pooling funds with a group to do these
Correct.
transactions.
Correct.
And are
then
these
there's minimum
clients of yours
requirements.
or Sphere?
Both.
Got it.
Both. Yeah. And then there's requirements. Like I won't look at anything that's less than 20 to 25 feet wide. Just because, once you start putting the hallway in and you've got to get, you've got your multi-level. So it's fine when you walk in the door and there's a staircase and you just go right into your apartment on the main floor. But how's the third floor person get into their apartment? Because now that staircase on the second floor has got to wrap around and go up again. Right. So you start to cut into your size. And then what ends up happening on the second floor is you've got two staircases, two like pathways. You got one that has to go to the third floor, and you got the other one where the person has to get from their bedroom to their bathroom to wherever. So it starts to really get skinny. So we have minimum requirements like that. We would like to fully fund the first one 100%. So if it's like 100, it's a 1.5 buy with $1 million, construction budget, then we'll try to get $2.5 million. And then from that, once it's everything's established, the people are in, and we can see what our return on investment is then go to a mortgage specialist, get a mortgage on that property so you still cash flow positive, take that chunk out and look for the next property. So those initial investors will have the first investment plus a chunk of the second investment, which we'd then have to add more investors to. But as you keep remortgaging, that chunk of the initial investors just keeps getting recycled through and through and through.
Very cool
So,
concept.
yeah.
I love that. Because, it's not super attainable for the average person to be able to go and take
No.
on these ventures on their own. So
Right.
really power in numbers.
It's not 1,000 unit REIT, but it's like a 5-unit REIT that's starting out, right?
Amazing.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. So you were talking to us a bit before we started about your cottage life and Airbnb-ing. How's that been
Yes.
for you?
It's been a struggle.
Yeah.
I'd be honest. I think Scott McGilvery has done us all a disservice. I'm not kidding. I think he made it seem like vacation rentals are like, the bee's knees and everyone's going to make thousands and thousands of dollars, but it's not actually true.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many intricacies with owning a cottage, first of all,
For sure.
as everyone says. And it's like the generic response, right? Oh, you own a cottage, maintenance all the time, never going to stop working on it. It can be true if you're going to use an extension cord to, extend your electrical outlets from one room to another. But if you do it properly, you can actually build a pretty solid foundation. and then have something that doesn't need maintenance all the time.
But that's the thing. People feel like they treat their cottage just sort of as a secondary property, right? That they can just kind of like fix up and, like you said, do the extension cord here or there. But if you build it like a proper home and do that sort of stuff, that maintenance goes out the window.
Correct. Yeah. And then it's properly run and there's no leaks in the basement. Like I bought pre-construction, which is obviously brand new. I've never bought a property that is done. I've always bought as is, where is, and some piece of crap somewhere and tried to fix it up.
That's awesome. You fixed up your cottage?
Yeah. Yeah. I fixed up my house and I fixed up my cottage.
And where is it located, the cottage?
It's in MacTier in Muskoka.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Before we get into the fun stuff, I do just quickly want to touch on, before we started the show, we were picking your brain about your cottage because we were admiring your tan.
Yes.
And we were talking about the cottage rental market and what that looks like for people and ultimately how that makes sense as an investment. What are your thoughts on the cottage market right now?
Well, I think COVID made everyone, isolated. You're stuck at home. You had nowhere to go. You couldn't travel out of the country unless it was for a specific purpose. And so people got, stir crazy and they wanted to do something. And a lot of people thought it'd be a good idea to buy a cottage. And then when they weren't using it, rent it out. So when we bought our cottage, we were one of 3 official cottages for rent on the lake. Official, because everyone rents to friends and family.
Right.
I think currently there are 15.
Wow.
So yeah.
It's all new owners?
All new owners. So every cottage that's sold on our lake, I wouldn't say every cottage that's sold on our lake. I'd say 90% of the cottages that have sold on our lake have sold to someone who plans to rent it out. So like not solely rent it out, but partially rent it out. Yeah.
They ran their numbers by renting it.
Yeah. Like they want to be supplemented, right?
Yeah. Where did all those people go that sold their cottages on your lake? Where did they buy new cottages? Like, where did they all go?
It's the saddest story. They're all like, every time I walked into a cottage I wanted to like purchase or look at, it was like a widow and she'd lost her husband and it wasn't the same. One person had like stage 3 terminal cancer. Like it's not happy. The person we bought it from had heart problems.
So is that because it's an older demographic a lot of the time?
Yeah, they're selling off their original cottage. Like ours was built in 72, same family, right? And he had some heart issues and they weren't going to come back up there and the kids didn't want the cottage or whatever the case may be. So it was just sitting there. And
so just to put a lovely bow on this,
yeah.
You wouldn't necessarily recommend buying a cottage for the purpose of making money.
No, I think you choose, it could come back. Like I'm not not saying you won't make money. There are areas that are conducive to making more money. The Collingwoods are good, but you're going to pay. And then they've also got tons of STR rules up there because you've got summer and winter sports, right? Muskoka is great. You can get some ski-doers in the winter time. You can get some people who just want to go up and chill. But like if you're not laser focused on, let's say from May 4 to Thanksgiving, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
All right. Thank you for that insight. So we got Brendan's fun story. What's your craziest, most fun, wacky real estate story?
I don't know if I really have a crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I've had some weird ones, but just
do you have a favorite deal that you did?
Favorite deal? I mean, our cottage deal was pretty good. Our house deal was great. Like it was, the house deal was actually great. We had a snowstorm in Toronto and because the teachers had gone on work to rule, TDSB was like, fuck you. We're not giving you the day off. We're going to make you basically go to school. My wife's a private school teacher, but they go by whatever TDSB says. So I had to drop her off at school. This house on St. Germain came on the market that day. And so I dropped her off and I basically came into the area and made an appointment to see it and waited around. And while I was waiting on Avenue Road, a snow truck came by and literally like snow plowed me in.
Oh no.
And I couldn't get out and I was going to be late for the appointment. And another truck came by and flattened it. And so I could get out. And I walked into this house and it was a piece of crap. Like it was gross. Like everything, it smelled like stale and all that. And I went to the basement and they had a lowered ceiling and I pushed up the tiles and it was like another 1.5 feet of ceiling space up down there, which literally meant I never had to underpin and I could buy it and know that I had, I think it was 7'10" ceiling height in a basement of a 1940s house, which is like,
that's incredible.
You can't find it. You just can't find it. And so I went back into the car, sat down, And this is before digital signature and all that. I wrote it out on those stupid pages that we used to have, the offer, went back in, handed it in. They gave me a response maybe 25 minutes later at full ask price. And I was like, fine, taking it. And I signed it back. And then my wife called me at like noon and she's like, so how'd the showing go? And I was like, we bought a house.
Oh my goodness.
And she's like, wait, what? She's like, I was like, we bought a house. We own a house. But don't worry, it's conditional on the home inspection. So you can still nix it. But I seriously suggest you don't.
That's awesome.
And Saturday we showed up, looked at it, showed her what I saw, knew there was asbestos in there, knew we had to get it remediated, knew we had to do fixes and all that. And that was it. We went. We did it. The backyard was insanely overgrown.
At the time, did you feel like you overpaid?
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah. It
Your
had been
wife
on the
sounds like a
market
trooper.
a few times, and then it came back on the market, and I didn't let it get to a bidding war. Like the market was starting to heat up. It was already February.
Okay.
So
Nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, to finish off, unfortunately, we don't have Brandon for our rare roundup, but we're going to run you through
no worries.
our last 3 questions. Simple answers. We can
Oh
rant
my
on the
God.
last one a little bit. But first and foremost, what's your favorite GTA neighborhood? Is it your home ground?
It's up there.
Okay.
Definitely up there. I love St. Lawrence Market. I think the St. Lawrence Market's an amazing neighborhood.
Mhm.
This neighborhood, Bedford Park, where I live, which is amazing. And then I like Deer Park.
Okay.
Oh,
Deer Park's
nice.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Very nice. And then we all know we're on the fly all the time, driving around, walking around. What's your go-to fast food when you're in a crunch?
Oh my God. It's A&W.
A&W.
It
What's
is
your
A&W.
order?
Normally the Mama Burger. And then instead of fries, I get like a little chubby chicken burger as well.
Creative.
Yeah. I'll
Okay.
pass on the fries for like some sort of sandwich any day.
I'm obsessed personally with their onion rings. Delicious.
I love onion
Super
rings,
salty.
but like I love those things. I'll tell you the funny story quickly. I had to go over my accounting this year, and I realized that I eat a lot of fast food. A lot. Like there's some days where it's like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like
Wow.
yeah.
But you're a
not
busy
good.
realtor. That just shows.
I think I actually plan my day so I can eat out for meals. It's like, yeah.
Keeps things efficient, you know?
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'll just do a workout. Oh, I'm late for, my 10 o'clock appointment. I better get a bagel house like sandwich quickly.
We have caught you with a bagel house bag in hand,
100%.
so we know that's true.
100%. And then it's like, oh, I've got to go downtown for my showing. I'll grab an A&W on the way down or something like that. So
Oh,
There you
man.
go. And then our final question is, in your opinion, what makes an agent rare?
I think we spoke about this that day. I mean, I'll tell you why I became an agent at Rare is that I believe that Rare respects tradition, but also embraces innovation. So we're not a traditional brokerage. And in that sense, we are Rare, but we still have that healthy respect for the way traditional brokerages are run. And that for some reason, we found a hybrid between way too innovative and the traditional.
Mhm.
And I think what makes us Rare is that we've actually found a niche market that other brokerages haven't found yet. So
I love that. We tend to ask that more specifically about agents, but I love that you spoke to the brokerage model as
I'm
well.
not that rare.
Yeah.
At least I don't feel that rare.
But you found the brokerage that
Construction
makes you feel
background,
rare?
maybe. Yeah.
That's
right?
super cool. But I think
So-
that's true as well. To find what your niche and your strengths are and bring that to the table is huge.
I find it's easier for someone else to tell me what my strengths are than myself to tell me, because I feel like when you're
I hear
doing
some
your job.
imposter syndrome in the room right now.
No,
You
seriously, I don't
totally-
want you guys to tell me at all what you think, but like,
No,
I feel-
meaning that you don't realize that you
Oh.
have like all these rarity agent things about you.
I'll be honest, because I feel like I'm doing my job.
Mhm.
And so the problem that I have with not other agents, but a few agents is that they just can't do their job,
Mhm.
right? It's like, I'm not a 90%er.
Mhm.
And you either start it or you don't start it. And if you start it, you go 100%, you finish it.
Love that.
So,
Boom. What an
yeah.
ending. Give it
Beautiful.
your all.
Should we
Thank
just,
you.
that's it? We'll just
Yeah,
walk
that's
away.
it.
Push
Yeah,
the-
absolutely.
I'm
push the
out.
mic
Mic
away.
You
drop.
said a good. You
I
said
don't
a
want
good.
drop.
to. I definitely don't want to drop this thing.
If I drop it, I'm afraid I'm going to break it. So I will not drop
Yeah,
We will
there
not
we
drop the
go.
mics, Chris. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course,
it was such
welcome.
a pleasure to speak with you and
Thank you.
Brandon. And we love being a part of the same community as you and working with you guys. So it really has been an honor. If our audience wants to find you, where are you located online?
I think if you put in Mark Adelson and not the one from the States, you'll find me pretty much. Like my number is there, my email. So, mark at adelsonweiss.com. If you want to get hold of both Brandon and I, it's kleinkare@adelsonweiss.com, and then Brandon's Brandon@adelsonweiss.com. So
very consistent.
keep it very simple.
I like it.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for everyone who watched or tuned in. Please like, rate, review, whatever it is on the platform you're listening or watching, and we'll see you next time.
See you next Thursday.